My name is Litia and I'm from the beautiful island of Laos and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Casey, I'm from Tabua. We love Today FM in Tabua. Today FM rocks.
My name is Selina, I'm from Tauvenga-Vengamba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Pula, my name is Carlo. I love listening to the music in Today FM, in Malak Island. Today FM rock.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
In the news tonight, Prime Minister gets down to business in Germany. Fiji takes part in climate march. And Fijian men face colorectal cancer danger.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spade.
Prime Minister and COP23 President Vurenge Bainimarama has held numerous pre-meetings on the eve of the global climate meeting, which officially gets underway today in Germany. From a tour of Bonn City, which will host Fijian cultural activities, to opening Climate Planet, the PM has been setting the scene and advocating the urgency of global climate action. Maggie Boyle reports.
Fijian culture on display in Bonn, the city square will host a number of significant events to mark the UN meeting. The COP23 president clear on what the agenda will be over the next 2 weeks.
The campaign for decisive climate action is for the protection of our planet, for all we hold dear, and I promise you all that Fiji will do everything we can to fulfill the confidence the German people have placed in us to take this mission forward.
With close to 200 countries in attendance and thousands of delegates, Bainimarama reiterated the importance of collective action.
Two nations of vastly different sizes at opposite sides of the earth coming together for the most noble of purposes.
Meanwhile, climate champion and Minister for International Disaster Management, Inia Seriratu, led a bike tour to launch the initiative Moving for Climate Now.
All citizens of planet Earth, that we can all contribute to help in our fight against global warming.
Seriratu says everyone can make a change to limit their carbon footprints.
There are so many ways in which we can contribute. One is about walking to work or cycling to work. And again, this is why a lot of towns and cities are into cycling.
The 2-week COP23 meeting will be formally opened today. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
COP23 President and Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama has called on delegates in Bonn, Germany to subscribe to the Grand Coalition to effectively fight climate change. Bainimarama says the meeting will be the forum to harness the political will needed for global climate action. Maggie Boyle again with this story.
It's a giant globe representing not only planet Earth, but the hopes and expectations of global delegates heading into the climate meeting.
I want to emphasize my commitment to the Grand Coalition we are building together. Right from the start, Fiji has been convinced that we simply cannot rise to the challenge of climate change without involving everyone.
Addressing the Climate Planet ceremony, Bainimarama said we can turn the tide on climate change.
Humanity already has the ingenuity, the innovation and the financial resources to meet this challenge. What we need, friends, ladies and gentlemen, your excellencies, is the political will.
The COP23 president also emphasized the importance of collective action.
Every level of government, civil society, the private sector, faith-based organizations, and as many ordinary people around the world as possible.
From Berlin to Bonn on an environmentally friendly train, COP23 climate ambassador Deo Sarin reiterated the president's message.
There is no time left. We need to act now and change the way we live, consume and move around.
A number of green initiatives in Bonn will make COP23 one of the more sustainable climate meetings. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Fiji and Pacific climate activists were part of the largest climate march in the world in Bonn, Germany over the weekend. The Beyond the Coal March brought together over 20,000 activists from around the world. Eleanor Terangaivi reports.
Stop the profit!
It was a demonstration like no other. 25,000 people marching, calling for the rapid phasing out of the use of fossil fuel. The protesters chanted for an end to the use of coal and beat drums as they marched from the city center to the UN center that will host the COP23 talks. For others, it was also an opportune time to demonstrate their call for actions for world leaders as they prepare for negotiations.
We are marching for climate justice. For me, as a Pacific woman, and as a woman that comes from rural and remote background, it's important for me that we fight for climate justice because we strongly push that under climate justice, the rights of everybody should be included, that we should all achieve economic, ecological, and social justice regardless of your background.
Coal accounts for roughly a third of global energy consumption and powers 40% of all electricity, twice as much as natural gas. It produces more carbon pollution, making it the dirtiest of the fossil fuels. Eleanor Turangibiu, FBC News.
The rising temperatures and shifting rainfall patterns in the Pacific are slowly changing the geography of areas animals and plants need to survive on. This was stated by American environmentalist Miriam Horn, who believes this is affecting crops and livestock that many people depend on for food and income. Kelly Vadala reports.
There is evidence that climate change is already having a measurable effect on the quality and quantity of food produced around the globe.
In terms of the impacts on the land, we're seeing much more extremes in terms of temperature and rainfall, and that has consequences for crop health, for the kinds of pests that you have to deal with, for things like soil erosions.
The Worldwide Fund for Nature says farmers are having a difficult time producing standard agricultural crops due to unexpected weather conditions.
During our meeting with the farmers, they are raising this that the declining production and productivity leads to a decline in their income. So basically, it is one of their major concerns. We are trying to help them by developing their farm budgets and plans, and how are they going to combat these climate change aspects.
We know we've made most of the mess, and that it really should fall to us to clean up most of the mess to protect smaller, more vulnerable nations.
We see climate change everywhere in weather patterns across farmlands through plant and animal habitats. Worldwide, farmers are trying to keep up with the shifting weather patterns, but it's up to us to ensure we lower our carbon footprints. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
There is an increase in colorectal cancer for men in Fiji. Fiji Cancer Society says the rise on colorectal cancer is almost on par with prostate cancer. Sainiani Boiler reports.
Society representative Kali Turangibiu said there is a current rise in colorectal cancer, a cancer that develops from parts of the large intestine.
54% of all cancers affecting men is prostate cancer. But there's another cancer that's on the rise for men. But this cancer affects both genders, male and female. And that's colorectal cancer. But it's on the rise in men in Fiji.
Turangibiu says cancer cells are in every human being and it's dormant.
Now what triggers cancer? And the answer to that is your lifestyle. It triggers cancer. So depending on the way you live your life, that can act as a trigger to trigger this disease.
While launching the Ministry of Land's Movember movement, Minister Fayaz Koya says talking about cancer is like a taboo in Fiji and it shouldn't be.
We're all grown-up adults, we live in a very free age. It's something that you can talk about. It's something that's actually quite serious. It's something that you need to share with your loved ones at the end of the day. And also, you need to be conscious of these things.
The Fiji Cancer Society, together with the Lands Ministry, has urged men to get screened now for early detection of the killer disease. About 30 Lands Ministry officers man up today to advocate and raise awareness on cancer. Sainiani Mboila, FBC News.
Still to come, new method introduced for dengue fight. And correction heads meet to plan. Stay with us.
Ranavika, o tikongona tau no Singapore, ando talisaka na wakaronga ng Bull FM, number 2 na sere.
We have the Ratubuni Kurnambili, Borani bat sekarang hambara binaranga. Total takinan na barongan ng Bula FM. Number 2 NSR. Bula!
Bula FM, number 2 NSR.
There will soon be a reduction in dengue transmission after the implementation of the Wolbachia method, which renders mosquitoes incapable of transmitting dengue, Zika and other diseases. The method is a safe, natural and effective way to combat the threat of dengue and presents no threat to humans. Ana Ravulo reports.
The introduction of Wolbachia method is something the Ministry of Health has been looking forward to, given the fluctuation of dengue cases in the country.
What Wolbachia does is it blocks the transmission of these viruses from one human being to the other. At the moment, what Aedes aegypti mosquito does, it bites a patient which carries virus of dengue, chikungunya or Zika, a healthy carrier. And then it transmits, when it bites another person, it transmits to the other person. So what Wolbachia does, it blocks the transmission.
The implementation of the method will be done with the Eliminate Dengue program from Monash University in Australia.
We start the pre-implementation phase. So we need, because we come here to support the government, so we will work with the government and also the health authority and also even the community. And then we can define where is the best time for the project to actually implement it in the field.
The Wolbachia method being implemented in Fiji was possible through a memorandum of agreement signed today between the two parties. This method has also been introduced in Kiribati and Vanuatu. Ana Ravulo, FBC News.
Challenges and solutions to running a correctional facility will be one of the main topics of discussion during the 37th Asia-Pacific Conference of Correctional Administrators. 23 countries from the Asia-Pacific are currently meeting in Nandi to discuss these issues. Felipe Naikaso has more.
Recidivism is one of the main contributing factors of overcrowding in prisons, which the Fiji Correction Service is working hard in trying to minimize.
There is always an increase of individuals who are admitted into correctional centers. There are new correctional facilities being constructed, but the fact remains that these new centers or extensions will be overpopulated in a few months.
The Fiji Correction Service will use this conference to their advantage as they share ideas with the representatives present.
One of the key mandates of the Asia-Pacific Correctional Administrators Conference is the sharing of information bilaterally, the assistance that can be offered bilaterally, the memorandum of understanding that could be signed. So that's an opportunity between member countries to engage on that front.
Also working closely with the Fiji Correction Service is the police force, who say they are still ironing out some major problems.
Especially the view of police officers in terms of criminals themselves. For us, the mentality is that criminal is a criminal. But in here, you have to look at how we can rehabilitate and change the prisoners.
The three-day conference will also include a tour of the newly built women's prison in Lautoka. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
A night filled with beautiful dances all the way from the state of Odisha in India was showcased during the Namaste Pacifica last night. The Meera dance group displayed a variety of numbers from one of the 8 classical dances of India, Odissi. Namaste Pacifica is a platform to cultivate unity and promote multiculturalism. While officiating at the event, Health Minister Rosie Akbar said it is important Fijians always show respect for each other's cultures, as Fiji is a multicultural society.
Multicultural society, and we need to live together with each other full of respect and tolerance for each other's cultures, and I'm sure programs such as this is going to bring that about.
The consultations carried out by the Independent Bus Fare Review Committee is gathering momentum. Committee Chair Joel Abraham says Fijians are taking the consultation seriously and bringing forth submissions with substance. The public are also making use of the texting platform with over 5,000 submission messages received so far, while over 400 emails and 20 written submissions have been received. Meanwhile, the committee will be rolling out a customer survey next week. Abraham says through this initiative, customers will be able to share their experience while boarding a bus.
We'll have people go to bus stations and interview customers as they are disembarking from their buses or they finish their journey.
Turning to world news, at least 27 people have been killed after a gunman opened fire at a church during Sunday services, officials say. The attack happened at the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, a small town in Wilson County, Texas, in the United States.
Mid-morning on a Sunday, and like millions of Americans, the people of Sutherland Springs were at worship. In the First Baptist Church, the serenity was shattered when a man opened fire at a service normally attended by around 50 people. The church pastor's 14-year-old daughter is reportedly among the dead. One woman who works at a shop close to the church described how she took shelter when the shooting began.
I'm about 50 yards away. There's a row of houses. We went running outside when we heard the shots, and then we looked at each other and said, I'm not going to be outside for bullets to fly, because we heard ricochet. So we went back into the store, and we had a couple of customers in there, and we made sure that they were safe and everything. And then the owner decided to go ahead and close the store for a little while.
A short time after the shooting, the local sheriff said the gunman was down, reportedly after a search or pursuit. As the news spread, the United States embraced a familiar ritual, with public figures focusing on the need for prayer. President Trump, on a tour of Asia, tweeted, "May God be with the people of Sutherland Springs, Texas. The FBI and law enforcement are on the scene. I am monitoring the situation from Japan." This latest mass shooting comes a month after a gunman opened fire in Las Vegas, killing 58 people, and 2 years after a white supremacist shot dead 9 in a church in South Carolina. Now the tiny community of Sutherland Springs adds its name to the roll call of mass shootings.
Ahead in sports with Jamie, the hype is building for the Melbourne Cup race tomorrow, but up next is Rachel with business.
Thank you, Jackie. Good evening, and coming up in business tonight. Latest inflation figures released. And in growing Fiji, Sue is set to welcome Burger King. Stay with us.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकू रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ. मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1. इट्स सो हॉट.
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे. मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट.
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेफ्रिकी से. मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं. मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट. आई लव मिर्ची एफएम.
हमें स्पिन तो हुआ कि मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे.
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट.
Leading business tonight, the inflation rate stood at 2.6% last month compared to 2% in September, but remained lower than 4.7% registered a year ago. Higher annual price movement in alcoholic beverages, tobacco and narcotics, housing, water and electricity, gas and other fuels, restaurants and hotels, and the transport category contributed to this turnout. The recent fuel price review by the Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission is expected to have a marginal impact on the overall inflation. And we now join Rocco from HFC Bank with the latest from the trading world.
Vinaka, let's look at the South Pacific Stock Exchange review for last week. 5 securities were traded, totaling 10,282 shares in 18 transactions, accumulating to $92,865. The 5 securities traded were Amalgamated Holdings, Fiji Television, Paradise Beverages, Vision Investments, and Fijian Holdings Limited. All share prices remained same except for a fall of 0.02 cents recorded for Paradise Beverages. As such, the overall market capitalization fell slightly by 0.01% and concluded the week at a value of $1.71 billion. And that's all from me for now. Back to you.
Thanks, Rocco. Looking at today's exchange rates and foreign currencies in the Fijian dollar. The Fijian dollar strengthened against the Chinese yuan to close at 3.14, while it weakened against the American dollar to close at 47 cents. The Australian dollar was up to close at 61 cents, while the New Zealand and PNG Kina was down to close at 67 cents and 133. As for the commodities market, a mixed day as we start the week with oil prices closing at $55.81 a barrel. Gold closed at $1,270 per ounce and silver closed at $16.87 an ounce. And in Growing Fiji tonight, the renowned Burger King chain will open its newest restaurant in Suva next Monday. This will be Burger King's fourth outlet, having 3 successful restaurants in Nadi, including 2 at the Nadi International Airport. The newest outlet will be located at Ganila House on Edward Street. And that's business this evening. Now to sports. Here's Jamie.
Thanks, Rachel, and good evening. Up ahead in sports, hype bills for Melbourne Cup. And Nandolo scores twice to help his side beat defending T14 champions. This and more coming up.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकू रेकी रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ. मिर्ची एफएम is number 1. It's so hot.
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे. मिर्ची एफएम is hot.
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेफ्रिकी से. मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं. मिर्ची एफएम is hot. I love मिर्ची एफएम.
हमें स्पिन टोटो ताबुआ के मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे.
मिर्ची FM, it's hot.
Less than 24 hours out from the race that stops the nation, and one of the top bets for this year's Melbourne Cup has pulled out. Who Shot the Barman will not take part in tomorrow's event, leaving the race for the Cup down to 23 horses. Rohit there with the details.
And the field is out now. Favorite for this year's Melbourne Cup is Almendine, which ran Melbourne Cup last year and came first.
Apart from Almendine, there are a few other horses who stand a good chance to get a placing.
When you look at the field, Hartnell, it ran last year, it came third. And apart from Galante, these are the experienced horses who ran the Melbourne Cup last year.
The Vodafone Fiji Mbati recorded its second win at the Rugby League World Cup, thrashing Wales 72 points to 6 in Townsville last night. The Mbati was in outstanding form, outscoring their opponents 14 tries to 1. The Fijian Roos' maiden season in Australia's National Rugby Championship has come to an end. The Senirusi Serubakula coach side losing to Queensland Country 57-21 in the second semi-final yesterday. The Fiji Airways Barbarians finished 6th at the Silicon Sevens in the USA. The Fiji side lost. Montpellier has moved to second spot on the French T14 points table after its win over defending champions Clermont 28-24 today. Flying Fijian winger Nemani Nandolo making his presence felt with 2 tries in the match. Rohit there with the story.
Well, that's a great piece of
Fireworks were expected when the two teams took the field this morning. Nemani Nandolo using his strength to dive over for his first 2 tries.
Nandolo is there, and what a finish that is. Pretty well. Benoit Payot at the back. They got the advantage. This is surely going to be a penalty try if they don't ground it.
The second try was a much easier one for Nandolo as he cashed in the hard work of his forwards.
Close to the sticks. Nandolo is probably one of the best acquisitions in the top 14 in the past.
Nandolo's perfect night was cut short as he received a yellow card for this deliberate knock-on.
Oh, Nandolo. Hopefully he's gone for the pocket, isn't he?
In other matches, brief edge Stade François 2019, Agen had a close 26-24 win over Toulon, while Racing 92 beat Pau 23-20. Rohit there, FBC Sports.
That's it from Sports Tonight. Join Angie later on with weather, and in our new media segment, the newest Apple store that is revolutionizing the in-store shopping experience. Catch that after the break.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकू रेकी रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ। मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1। इट्स सो हॉट।
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट।
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेफ्रिकी से। मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट। आई लव मिर्ची एफएम।
हमें स्पिन टोटो ताबुआ के मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे।
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
New media, Apple has opened a new store in the U.S. This newly completed transparent store in Chicago features automated robots and coding classes. And it's weather time now with Angie.
Hello there and welcome to the Weather World. We're in the wet season and plus it's the first day of daylight saving. Hope that went well for you. Don't you think it's about time we had some sunshine? Looking at the west, we had few showers which later turned to heavy grey clouds. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, occasional showers with few thunderstorms, a bit of sunshine was around. And up north, it was rather cloudy and warm. At sea, east to southeast winds 20 to 25 knots with rough seas. And for the tides, high tide tonight will be at 8:53 with low tide tomorrow morning at 3:02. See the beauty of sunrise at 6:24. For tomorrow, we are most likely to have little rain and more clearer conditions. So I guess the photo shoot you had put on hold can be done now. Tomorrow's temps, the Western Division will be scorchy with highs of 30 degrees. And looking further on to Wednesday, let's celebrate some dry weather. And that's all from the FBC Weather World. Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. On Fijian Pulse today, we asked, with the Melbourne Cup fever gripping the nation, will you be backing a horse or placing a bet for the Melbourne Cup?
Well, after today that I'll bet for horse number 16, Galante.
I'll be betting on Almadine because it's last year's winner and also a FM favorite for this year too.
No, I haven't placed a bet.
I've never placed a bet before, so I don't think I'll play this one.
Recapping the main stories, Prime Minister gets down to business in Germany. Fiji takes part in climate march and Fijian men face colorectal cancer danger. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question, the results from last week, we had asked, do you think Fiji's role in COP23 is starting to benefit other small island states? 58% of you said no. This week we are asking, should the Pacific Islands have a team in the National Rugby League competition in Australia? Visit our FBC website to answer. Before we go, our shot of the day, this comes from Ben Billy McAllister, who captured this at the Mamanuca Islands. We'd like to encourage all our viewers to send in more pictures of our beautiful Fiji, whether it's our tropical flowers, our stunning waterfalls, maybe a visiting cruise ship, or even your favorite pet. Just email them through to fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. You can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. That was your FBC News for tonight. From the team and I, good night.
Pero ndo talita ka na varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and domoy viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Kung minasong mo tikola, ndo talita ka na Radio Fiji 1 kina domoy viti.
Kaya ko sila talit. Naguraramay na umani. Nando nga. Gitu talita gini ang gitu pinasabali pag nagundurong varorong na Radio Fiji 1 na domoy viti.
Na Radio Fiji 1 na domoy viti na ponga ni BNN.